The story begins with Wu Chu and a boy in his apartment trying to turn on the air conditioner, but can't because the appliance is broken. After several failed attempts, he gives up and thinks that he should call a technician to fix the appliance. He wanted to drink water, but that didn't work either. Then his watch started working strangely on his wrist and displayed a screen with a reminder that it was 10 minutes before the official start of the Perfect World game beta test. In 23 minutes 0, most jobs were occupied by robots, which resulted in a high rate of mass unemployment. Because of this, people started spending their time playing online games, relying on online games to make money. Therefore, the gaming industry has become a major economic pillar of the world. In this context, the biggest companies in the industry came together to create the Perfect World game. This game allows you to directly convert game currency through the official platform, as you need to have the currency of the country. The boy pressed the button in front of him and an interesting game machine appeared in front of him. According to rumors, it was a Western MMORPG with fantasy elements. The boy thought that since he had played a similar game before, it would be easier to start this game. Perhaps he would find himself in the same situation as the celebrities and have a chance to change his life with this game. He had to take this chance, as this was his destiny. So he entered the Perfect World game. There were medieval houses and many people around. He himself wore the clothes of those times. The board showed his characteristics. Name: Yu Chu, and title: No health, strength 5, dexterity 5, magic 5, HP 100, attack 50, MP 100, synap 1. Looking at these characteristics, the boy thought that everyone's stats were more or less the same, but then he heard people talking, saying that some of them tried pinching themselves and actually felt pain. One of them asked if there were any system tips for beginners and why the game was so hardcore. The boy thought he should take a look around first, and when he left, a sign appeared saying that this was his achievement: 1 walk, and everything starts with 1 step. And the writing appeared again, so that after 1,000 steps the title would be unlocked. The pedestrian was indicated that he should unlock the divine level skill, the 1,000-mile step. Seeing this, the person took a deep breath, and then the writing appeared again, indicating that this was 1 deep breath. The long breath skill was acquired, and if he took 1,000 deep breaths and unlocked the attainment, he would become a breath master. He was instructed to unlock the divine level skill. Kai's refining the man was very surprised and thought about what happened. Then the inscription appeared again, indicating that this was the only surprise for him. It seemed like the others didn't have it. Maybe it was thanks to him or because of the game mechanics, and he wondered if he could get the skill regardless of what he did. And when he raised his hand, he got a reward for it. He thought that in this game, awakening a divine level skill was enough to change the lives of ordinary people, and if he could get it, he wouldn't be so lucky. There seemed to be certain conditions that had to be met in order to obtain it. As he walked waving his hand, he could see the inscription indicating that he had taken 2 steps. 999 more steps. He took a deep breath, his internal organs strengthening. There were still 999 breaths left to acquire the skill, and he waved his hand for the rest. Looking at her, they didn't understand that this could happen to her. Someone said that she just stood still and watched. Better leave it. And he said that he better hurry up to find monsters to level up, and they wouldn't be able to keep up with the entries. They congratulated him for taking 1,000 steps, and he received the divine skill to lie on the 1,000th step. Because he took 1,000 breaths, he received the divine level skill of refining Kai, and because he took 1,000 swings with his hands, he received the divine skill of killing and swinging. He stood in front of a vast field and thought that no matter which direction he went, there would be the same place everywhere. And he opened his tablet because he had many skills. His skills are like taking a step of 1,000 lies. His speed will increase. Now he can increase his speed by 10 times by increasing his skills. He can increase his high refining speed. His breath gives him experience points. Now he can gain 10 experience points. When he breathes, an increase in strength is necessary to increase his killing skills and swinging. His left arm becomes very powerful. Each of its attacks dealt 10 times more damage, and to increase the skill level, an increase in core stats was required. Xuan thought that this was worthy of being called divine. After all, each of these skills was extremely useful, and on top of that, each skill gave a nice bonus. It was just a kind of reward thanks to Kai's refining skills. He was already 2 levels above the others and already had 4 skill points that could be randomly distributed, so he added them to the target swing, making it stronger, and he still needed time to get the skill. Most of the players were already out, and he wanted to try his 1,000-mile step skill. With this skill activated, he started running at lightning speed, surprising everyone around him. An hour later, he stopped to look around and realized what he was doing. He ran for an hour, but he was still in this place. He thought he could run about 30 kilometers and could overtake everyone. Then a sign appeared where he felt tired for the first time. When he felt tired 10 times, he could unlock the achievement of laziness, and by unlocking it, he could gain a divine ability, immunity to fatigue. When he saw the new achievement, he felt strange and decided to see what other players were saying on the game for him. When he opened the game's forum, those messages were also written there. Messages from I Love It saying that he really did it. He had been around for a long time and there was only one field. Other than the players, there was no one else here. Message B was written saying that he also experienced the same thing. He also walked along the west road and found no one message. He said that all he saw was a black shadow running fast. Others asked if it wasn't a deer, but someone said that they should go further. After all, this kind of situation had already happened, and it seems that the safe zone here is huge and needs to be investigated. Having found nothing, I think something is wrong here, and the developer installed such a large and safe zone. Not only that, a friend had an idea, but thought that it was too early to draw conclusions and decided to continue the research. The border of the starter town when he walked here was already completed. There was a river there. He thought that the river must be the border of the safe zone. There were animals on the other side of the river. One was a black forest deer, and the other was a mutated 4-horned bull. Seeing this, Chuan was shocked and thought that even after gaining divine ability, he wouldn't be able to compete with him. It is difficult for ordinary players to get out of the safe zone, and if ordinary players encounter monsters, it may happen at night, and at night Woodpecker would be in the safe zone on the field. He thought that knowing this gave him an undeniable advantage. Now he needed to do everything possible to get ready and start crossing the river with the help of the trees. The weather in the perfect world was almost the same as reality, so there was a high chance that the temperature would drop during the night, especially near the river. Therefore, his main task was to collect as much firewood as possible, and he also needed to build a shelter. He started collecting firewood, and while doing so, he found a blind axe. While picking it up, he said there might still be something useful here, so he went to collect more firewood, and in the end he found the silicon stone left by the goblins. The blessed bred a wild object, and for that he received the treasure hunter achievement and was instructed to find 5 items in nature to unlock the treasure seeker title and obtain the divine skill art of llama in the divine and nature category, where he would get clues to find hidden objects. And he just found hemp rope again and an empty container to get the title. By using the skill, he wanted to see the treasure in this forest, and nothing was found. He realized that there was no treasure in this forest and went looking for a place to camp. He found the place where there was a water source nearby. Taking his axe, he realized that he needed to sharpen it, and seeing a large rock, he began to sharpen his axe. Because of this, he received the attainment of a master sharpener, and after sharpening the weapon 100 times, he was able to unlock the title of sharpener and obtain the sublimated skill of forging a divine rank. Thanks to his skill, its durability, strength, and power will increase. There is also a high probability that it would turn into a new weapon. Seeing this, he began to sharpen his weapon even faster. 10 minutes later, he managed to sharpen his axe to perfection. The axe was made of black ferrous metal, level 1 equipment with an attack power of 10, and it was written that it was used to cut down trees, not effective against humans. He felt that the shark packs had increased his attack power. If there was a lack of time, he would have sharpened it properly, but the case did not wait. It was necessary to look for firewood. Looking at one of the trees, he thought it looked sturdy enough, so he would use it for construction and cut down the tree with a single blow. For this, he received the lumberjack achievement and was given a hint that if he cut down 100 trees, he would get the title of Mad Lumberjack in divine skills as a landscape designer. At the bottom, it was written that he could dig up any tree and transplant it. If he planted it properly, the tree would flourish again. However, he would need a lot of trees, and that was why he abandoned this endeavor. And since he only found 1 hemp rope, he still needed to find some vines. He dragged the tree to its location, and because of that, he obtained the divine level casting master skill. As a casting master, he would be able to easily produce anything he needed as long as he had the necessary materials, and he was instructed to make first-class objects. After a while he would be able to make something useful with what he brought, but when he looked he saw that there were still many materials left. This skill was really amazing, by the way. He decided that he would use these scraps to make something necessary. He created a level 1 rat armor made of rockton and a wooden spear for himself. The rat armor was made of bronze, very sturdy, and provided protection against physical damage. The downside was that it was ineffective against fire. The wooden spear was level 1 bronze, level no less powerful than an iron spear. The disadvantage is that it breaks easily. Suddenly someone attacked him and his health was reduced by -1. Looking to the other side, he realized that someone was approaching. Dark waves gathered around him. Shuan was one that he was being attacked by dark waves and should find a fire as soon as possible. During this time he lost several life points. With the help of his spear he managed to start a fire. He breathed a sigh of relief at being in a safe place and praised himself for having prepared in advance. By lighting the fire he received the fire extraction achievement on the tablet. There it was written that if the fire burned for more than 10 minutes he could earn the title of Fire Lord. He was instructed to unlock the fire control skill and advanced divine skill. Now fire was boiling inside his body and he could use fire magic. Its power would depend on the amount of mana consumed. Shuan was happy that he finally got an attack skill, as all the previous skills were only auxiliary. The fireball attack consumed 10 units of mana and now he had a maximum of 130 units, which meant he could throw 13 such balls. As he launched the fireball it managed to smash a large rock. He was very surprised as this ball was very intimidating to him, and now this ability became his personal card. However, he realized that he couldn't possibly relax. It turned out that at night the safe zone was more dangerous than the cold wave. To see how the other players were doing, he logged into the chat room. One of them wrote that he had gone north and ventured into some kind of forest, but the path was blocked by a river. On the other side there were level 10 and above animals it was impossible to pass through. Another player wrote that it was the same in the west and they stopped here in small groups. Another wrote that continuous cold waves caused damage to players. He wrote that he saw no respawn point. Xuan thought that the players did not progress far from it. The safe zone is circular, so no matter where he goes the situation will not be much different. So the main task today was to get out of here. He realized that he hadn't paid attention to the respawn point either and wondered if it was really impossible to be reborn after the player's death. This information appeared on the forum. Goblins appear in the safe zone and their characteristics are as follows. Attack 30, defense 1, HP 100. They live in darkness, their origin is unknown, and they like to attack at night. When the man was wondering what kind of monsters were inside the safe zone, a sound was heard behind him and a monster jumped out of the bushes, but the man managed to react quickly and stuck his spear into it. Since he had killed the goblin bat, his level increased to 4. The fact that he defeated a monster for the first time, he received the killer achievement. If he killed 10 monsters he received the fighter title and gained the killing skill. The level of the killing skill is incredible. There was a thirst for killing in his heart. Every time he killed he could gain a certain power forever and recover 0% of the damage done to him. And his current power was the power of 1, and to ensure his safety he burned the monster's body, but then the monster's body began to change, becoming almost like a human body. The elder managed to save it and fell to the ground. She one thought that the monster had burned and turned into a human, and then a sign appeared that she had revealed the secret of the goblins, and now her mission had been activated. She had to bring the goblins alive. The current number of goblins in the dark is 9999. The man thought he had to catch the goblins. Of course there were many of them, but they weren't so strong anymore, although they could attack first. And now there was no time to think. If he hesitated, who could fail the mission? It was written on the sign that he had resistance to cold wave damage as well as 50 resistance to ice magic. Now the number of goblins was 31,444. As he ran across the field there were already goblin and human corpses. Some group of people still managed to capture a goblin by tying it to one of the rocks and decided to kill it, but then our hero stopped him with the fact that he fought with a man for the first time with a tantra and received the achievement of a wrestler in a hurry, and was ordered to fight with a man 10 times to get the title of king among wrestlers and get the skills of an expert wrestler. The The man asked what he was doing there, and Chaewon apologized and asked to give him this goblin because he really needed a live goblin. If he agrees, he would give him his armor in return with a note that the armor is made of bronze. The man decided to give the goblin and warned her that they had beaten him almost to death and he had lost a lot of blood. He thought it wouldn't take long, and after assessing the situation he realized that this goblin wouldn't last until morning, and after abandoning this endeavor he went in the other direction while thanking his group. The girls wondered why he needed the goblin alive, and then the goblin attacked, ate him, and grew bigger. One player wrote that he thought the kill was very deep and provided a lot of experience. We don't have many of them left. In response, he wrote to him that his hedgehogs understood and they climbed well on a very smelly trail. Another player wrote that he met a strange man who needed a live goblin. He even wanted to give him a bronze armor. His response was to say that it was necessary to exchange the armor for something more expensive than some monsters, and asked if he was really stupid. The man thought that maybe after killing the goblin he would start sniffing around, and now they were avoiding him. And after seeing the number of goblins that weren't left, he was a little upset that he didn't have time. And then a number of goblins appeared on the tablet. The man wondered if the system had made another rug. No matter what, we would not miss this opportunity. When he arrived, instead of coming, there was a goblin with a huge body fighting with others. People thought he was the boss because he was so big. He was a level 3 mutant goblin with 400 life points HP. His skills had no power, only 200, and his condition was now in a state of panic. Someone shouted that the berserker phase had passed, which meant the goblin had shrunk, and they decided to attack him. Now, however, our main character outwitted them. He quickly tied a rug and said that he needed this goblin alive, saying that they had to leave the goblin and leave, otherwise they wouldn't be responsible for themselves. Chuan seriously said that he only needed the goblin. One of them shouted that he wanted to steal their monster, and they started attacking him, but their attacks didn't hurt him at all because he had bronze armor and was at level 5. One of them said that he heard that someone exchanged bronze armor for goblins was at him, then they wanted to attack him. But our main character managed to get out of there quickly while killing the leader of the group. The official form said that a violent man had just robbed the Rangers Guild building. Another participant said that all the guild members were there and saw how he killed them armed with a spear. He also had such a high defense that no one could penetrate him. When asked what his name was, some people said that they didn't have time to notice him because he moved so quickly. Chuan received the title of Savior because the mission was completed. He gained a lot of experience points and rose to level 3, and the first equipment obtained was a sharp iron sword, the second was a dungeon keeper, and the third was a war necklace. The characteristics of the equipment are as follows: Dungeon Guardian, rare silver. Dungeon Guard requires level 5 strength, 15 protection, 15 nameless. Dungeon Defender, rare second-hand necklace with silver, requires level 5 intelligence, 40. Tailor-made for adventure lovers. Recovery of 1% of your life points per second. Sharp iron sword, rare bronze sword, requires level 3. Attack 110, very sharp sword. And from the basement of the well, Chuan looked at Goblin and wondered what use he was now. After yesterday's frenzy, he was very weak, but there must be another secret hidden considering the previous case. These goblins were formed from humans, so who was the person who turned into a goblin? She was a little annoyed that there wasn't enough information, so he decided to find out what the other participants were saying, but almost everyone was discussing this and it bothered him a little. That's when he realized that many were writing that their spouses and friends had started disappearing. Chuan thought that this was no coincidence and wondered if it was possible to be reborn after death in this game. Suddenly a video was shown in public where a human player was frozen to death. Someone approached the frozen person and said that all people frozen by the intense cold look like that, adding that he didn't know how to revive them. Nevertheless, the frozen player's eyes turned red. The eyes covering his body began to crack and his skin became bluish. While the man was talking to his customers on the broadcast, the frozen man attacked him, and all of this was recorded live. Seeing this, Chuan felt goosebumps of fear. He wondered why this frozen player was attacking the other participants. Suddenly a frozen man appeared behind him on a tablet. There it was written that he was a mutated frozen being. His level was 5. He had 500 life points, 500 attack power, and 500 sealed ice points. The otherworldly soul had lost its mind, attacking all creatures in sight and fearing the underground spiritual source. Using the skill killing with hands and a new sword managed to decapitate the monster with a single slash. For this he received many experience points. The monster turned into a human and went to another place. Therefore Chuan received 10 points of luck from it. The opponent gains 50% more experience for 10 days, after which he will receive a bonus based on the amount. She realized that zombies are also players. Killing zombies and reviving players would give rewards, and Kai's cultivation didn't give him much experience of zombies. It was a shock for him to learn that he found an underground treasure in the safe zone. Furthermore, the forum reported that his friends were reborn at the location of, and our hero a few hours later managed to kill a few more zombies. There were about 100 zombies. Saw that the underground palace was open. He thought that while it was usually correct to follow the system instructions, this seemed like an official warning. Even the location was indicated. Perhaps it was a trap, and after all, there was no training in this game, so why was the warning so detailed? It was very suspicious. He thought it best to return to the campsite first, then assess the situation. In the evening he lit a fire and looked in the direction of the chewing goblin, thinking that if he deduced what was going on, first of all, no information about the secrets of the goblin was obtained today. The mission interface still hadn't disappeared after execution. This must be a long mission, he thought. What if the condition for completing it is the opening of the next mission? Then he saw signs that he was getting points from the players for it and felt happy that the day was productive. Nevertheless, he did not understand the death mechanism in the game, but he gained a lot of experience. But we must remember that the players have long since come back to life in the dungeon, so he wondered why he was gaining experience for it since no one had written anything on the forums for a long time. The dungeon was really problematic, and then suddenly the goblin began to change and transform into a human. He asked for help, saying that he was a man. The player thanked him for not killing him in goblin form, and then Shiwen saw an entry on the tablet saying that the hidden mission was a mutation in the underground palace of faith, but the mission description, objectives, and rewards were unknown. The man thought that it led to the next hidden mission and thought that it was a good thing that he didn't kill him. Shiwen said that he was not grateful, but asked why he became a goblin. The man bowed, introduced himself, and said that his name was Cuter, and that he was an ordinary resident of the underground palace. At first, the underground palace of faith needed to attract brave men from different worlds, but he didn't know when it started, but the bravery stopped coming to them. The sacred fire in the temple also began to diminish, and after it was extinguished for good, many residents turned into ice zombies because they couldn't stop the waves of ice and black mist. Yuan thought that the underground palace was the beginner's village, but he was interested to know what the current situation was. Zombies are not only NPCs but also players. Is there a problem in the game and the developers are not fixing it? The man continued his story by saying that in the beginning not many residents died, but they still had powerful guards in the underground palace who could protect them. However, as the cold wave intensified, guards also died. They had to open a holy spring in the depths of the castle, but suddenly everyone who drank it turned into goblins. So the underground castle became a sanctuary for zombies and goblins. Some of the goblins escaped. They say that moonlight can remove any curse, and perhaps thanks to that he regained his former appearance while on a rock in the sky. Xuan thought that players who entered the underground palace were very unlucky. No wonder the forum was so deserted. Fortunately, he understood and it didn't work. He asked why the system offends players. It's not normal. It's better to be more careful in the future. Then Cuter asked if he wanted to help them. Everyone regained their previous appearance when he entered the palace and lit the sanctified fire. They would give him an incredible treasure, and in the depths of the tomb were the hidden class scrolls. If he saved his friend, they would give him a Christmas present. However, Chuan still wanted to refuse, but Cuter was unwilling to give in and said that if the scroll was not enough, maybe he would be interested in legendary level equipment. If he accepted the task, Cuter would give him this weapon, the Lost Ring of Thunder. Rarity gold. Physical plus 40, strength plus 40, agility plus 40, courage plus 40. Special effects. This ring comes from the Lord of Thunder. It envelopes the wearer in lightning, causing damage to the underground palace. This ability unleashes lightning at enemies within 500 yards, causing 600 points of damage. Recharge time is 1 second. Looked at this ring with sparkling eyes and thought that it was known that in This game bronze level equipment could gradually lose its value as the player's level increased, but gold equipment retained its value forever. However, Chuan thanked him for his generosity and kindness, but still refused. The underground palace was very dangerous and he didn't dare to go in. There he told him that it was late. He could stay and rest. He could look for another place in the morning, but the man started to turn into some kind of monster and said that if the soldier didn't want to, he wouldn't force him, but just bring his corpse there and jump on him to attack. But Juan managed to react and plunged his sword into her body. The man was shocked, and the man said the task was somehow unusual, and it was already suspicious. Besides, he didn't hesitate and used scarcity to lure her into the underground palace. Anyone in their right mind would feel cheated, and I asked who he was and why he came here. The evil goblin said everyone deserves to die. The souls of the other world should be food for the gods, and he fell to the ground for killing the mutated residents of the underground palace. He received experience points and was given equipment with the armor of the underground palace guards and also a sheepskin card, and in the end he received that special item, the lost ring of thunder. He happily said that the game really didn't follow the rules, because killing the crusaders and PS you can get a lot of useful things, and he also increased the level of his family. The reserve of the dungeon palace guards was made of 2003 plus silver protection, plus 500 taking the map of the dungeon palace. He began to study and said that after all there was nothing more to do today and decided to take a break. Usually in the future we need to pay more attention to the system warnings and what the NPCs say. The next morning, he found that the number of survivors was 160.307 people. Shun said that after game's open beta test, there are about 500 to 600 million players, and now there are about 100,000 survivors on the blackboard. It is written that rewards are given to survivors, and 7 players need to go to the safe zone in the central square. Thought that although it could be a trap, again she still didn't have enough information. There she could see other survivors. Maybe she could get information or understand the situation. The central square of the safe zone seemed strange to her, as there was a strange feeling when she opened the system and saw so many players gathered in one place. That must be the number of the safe zone, which was 1,000 people. There must be a location here. In the same way, a girl next to a big man said that she didn't expect to see young people here. Another man asked what family she was from. One thought that she wasn't the heir of an important family because the people from the big family didn't even look at her. She thought that all the fools had already entered the underground palace yesterday, but it seemed that not everyone had given up. A sign appeared in front of them saying that the safe zone for beginners was 1,000 people and the number of survivors was 200, and in the end there was a request to kill the opponent as soon as possible. At first the players didn't understand whether they should kill each other, but they soon began to attack each other. Shuan thought that originally they put about 100,000 people in the safe zone, and now only 20 people could survive. The first mission was meant to uncover people. The girl told him not to be surprised and attacked him with a sword, but Juan managed to parry the attack. The girl just asked if they were trying and would see what would happen. Dan asked where such a handsome man came from, but Juan said he didn't want to tell him. The girl said that he was very dangerous in this game and found him pathetic and asked if he wanted to join her. To her question and only her answer, the girl replied that her brother would also be part of this game. His name was Jen. The man thought that although he had confidence in his abilities, in the end he was alone. There are very few ways to get information here, so it would be very useful if you cooperated with others. When he said his name, the girl asked in surprise if he was Yu Chuan from Shanghai, and the man asked him how he knew him. And the girl replied that ordinary people might not know, but unless someone from a big family didn't know. Lin's family with an income of tens of billions, having an only daughter who wasn't married to him, he refused the blessings that were inaccessible to others and praised him for being so fearless. Shua felt uncomfortable and said that there was no need to mention the past. The girl thought that she deserved to be honored by King Chu in pajamas, that the brother and sister were unusual people. There were 200 people left in the game, and there were definitely more big family heirs among the survivors. And then a sign appeared that since no one had been killed for a long time, this system automatically eliminated the person with the lowest total strength. The countdown was 20 minutes, and then one of the players was eliminated from the game. Seeing that everyone was still fighting, Chuan chewed and flew away from the girl. For a few meters, the girl asked for some annoyance why he suddenly ran so far away, and if he thought she would do the same to him. It's about her. And when the girls wanted to attack the players, her brother defended her by defeating the players at once. And you thought that with the blessing of so many skills, talents, and equipment, his attack power is now close to 610 points, and the guy named Wuji has an attack power of at least 500 or so. Suddenly the native player wanted to attack Chuan, but he was caught by Chuan and killed with one of his own attacks. He said that he would save her two human forces. Why should they help him? He still didn't agree to join them. The girl smiled and said that it was unnecessary. They should only be interested. Not everyone gave up hundreds of billions of dollars. When there were 20 people left and the remaining players were congratulated for passing the test and proving their strength, it was time to choose their path. Xuan thought that the page seemed to be over, and they asked what the system would do now. Players must choose a hidden class. No matter what game they play, their class is always important. Hidden classes are very valuable in the complete world because of the features of the complete world. Players who get the hidden class will be promoted in the game, and their real life will also change drastically. Two players fought each other all along, and a rough-looking man named Gumo will now receive a hidden class. Next, a rider in black armor appeared, and the player entered his body. His panther animal welcomes him back into the darkness. His hidden class is the Dark Knight. Special abilities include immunity to dark magic, and for companions, his main characteristics will increase at each level, receiving 10 additional points. The girl said that from that day on, everything would be different for the Gu family. Furthermore, the second hidden class had been determined Lightning Giant. The special ability after becoming a Lightning Giant was to gain immunity to lightning magic and receive blessings from the power of the lightning spirit. Its strength and physical characteristics are doubled, causing lightning damage when attacking. Its damage is reduced by 30%, and its attack power is increased by 30%. Chuan wanted to go there to fight and win, and then the giant fell on the man, and he felt a very strong pain. Chuan thought that it seemed that in order to obtain the hidden class, it was necessary to fight not only with other players but also to feel inhuman pain. Then a purple mist began to thicken in the sky. That class is the Lord of the Dead, and that class is immortal. The player's special ability was to become immortal, immune to all the magic of the dead, and he would be the only undead on the continent. So almost all players started fighting to get into this class, and they started killing each other. The winner was a man named Y, and a reward was determined for him. And then the man's skin began to melt, and he fell to the ground. Another hidden class was the Mixed Fairy. Special ability. The player has 2 lives and 2 corresponding special elements. He is immune to both light and dark elements. He will learn mixed magic, which has special effects. The backlash reduction of his skills is reduced by half. There is only the last class left, and the girl thought that everyone must be trying to get it, and it was necessary to take a chance. The girl's older brother asked why Chuan didn't try, and she replied that she didn't need to. She didn't like being a magician. Besides, there would definitely be other opportunities to obtain magical classes in the future. So he thought, to be honest, this hidden class seemed strange to him. It seemed that those who had received the hidden class were not very sane, as if they were possessed by a strange spirit. Perhaps that was one of the traps of this system. Xuan had decided that although it was better to improve skills and talents, it would be no worse than the hidden class. So there was no need to fight just yet. The girl make one then appeared a sign asking everyone to go to the underground lobby at the hidden class awakening point. They can choose 2 companions, and those companions get the same special class as her but can't betray or injure her. When he is injured, his companion's life points will be sacrificed. Those who were reborn were surprised to have the opportunity to obtain a special class. One of them asked if the owner didn't die, then it was fine if they sacrificed their own health. Lord of Death Winding stood in front of those reborn and didn't know who to choose as his servant. Then his friend approached him and said to choose him since they were friends, but he ignored the request and chose 2 people who were much better dressed than them. His friend asked why he didn't choose him, and he replied that it was because he wasn't worthy. The same person in despair got up from the floor and said that he had no regrets because his friend wouldn't do that. Xuan looked at them, and I think that 2 people who have chosen to lament as the heir of a large family have appeared on television before abandoning a friend for the future. Is it typical of lamentation, or is the hidden class really absorbing players, as Chuan thought? He asked his friend in this Lenin what his name was. He introduced himself saying his name was Junk by Sean, extended his hand to him saying that he could go with him. The crying man thanks him saying that he will try hard. Shuan turns to you and asks if he wants to go with them. He politely declines. Those who are reborn say that it's faster to go to the underground palace. Maybe they'll get something too. Shuan thought that the players went down to the underground palace again and wondered what the system was planning. This time, by the way, I remember that she received a map of the underground palace, but then she was very surprised that the map showed that this was not the entrance to the underground palace. But if this is not the entrance, where is this movement headed? Judging from the fact that everything affected the underground palace, if he wanted to know the answer, he had to go there. But the entrance was very suspicious and he decided it was better to leave and find the entrance shown on the map and go there. He approached the two boulders, but he saw that there was no entrance there, but it was still marked as the underground palace. And then the dragon hunting technique skill was activated. He said that since the skill was activated, there must be a treasure somewhere, and added that there was no need to specifically look for the gate that opened the entrance so conveniently. These two stones moved to different sides, opening the entrance to the underworld. In the complete world there are no stars and no sun, so it must be the moon that he sees. Then Huda said that the moon removes curses, but Juan didn't know if it was true or not. By the way, even the history of the underground palace is written with faith, and I wonder how big this game is. As he descends, he sees some paintings on the wall, and then he got to the big door when he entered and saw a city that looked like a Greek architectural memorial. He was very surprised because it was a surprise. The underground palace of belief was a city that, although it was in ruins, you could still feel the greatness of the past. The map showed that this was the main city of the underground confidence palace, which occupied almost half of the entire territory. However, the Temple of Courage was still far away, and he thought he might find something. Suddenly he heard a sound, and as he turned around he saw someone attacking him. It was a huge ice monster holding a huge sword in its hand. He activated Kiran's skill in his hand and hit the monster's head with a ball. The man wondered if this meant Kelda was telling the truth. The underground palace was divided into two factions, goblins and ice zombies. It could be that those zombies were the ones Chuan had asked about the origin of. He wondered what was going on here, and if all the zombies were gathered here. Some of the zombies seemed like strange players. They usually attacked indiscriminately, but why weren't they attacking him? And then all the zombies started waking up somewhere, and Chuan followed them to the ice zombies were heading towards the temple. The man asked what the ice zombies were doing inside the temple. When they got to the temple, Chuan was surprised that the temple was the underground palace of faith. He thought there must be a clue to what he was looking for. Then some people came out of the temple to kill the zombies. Seeing them, Chuan asked if they had changed classes, and the temple was the place where they changed classes. The laughing zombies said that the zombie class was so strong it wasn't hard to die once or twice. It seems like he made the right choice, because zombies are much more interesting than archers and swordsmen. A sign about ice zombies appeared in front of Chuan. His unique special ability was that his attack and movement speed were reduced by 50%, and he would not die due to special circumstances. His basic characteristics improved by killing many Toyota players, giving him a lot of experience points. When he finds the underground holy spring, he will be paralyzed, and it will be easier to kill him. Thought that changing classes to become a zombie was unimaginable. Doesn't that passive ability divide players into two camps? The players who left the temple started using the holy fountain, and it killed almost all the zombies. Shuan came out in front of them, and one of the players stabbed him with a sword and asked who he was. He raised his hand and said that he used to be just the passing player. He asked how he got there. Our main character replied that he spent one more night there and ended up accidentally going down another corridor. On top of that, he had also just seen their abilities and asked if they switched classes. The player replied that after all players who entered the underground palace had completely gone through the class transition. Well, if there were a lot of people who switched classes and became zombies, it was completely unacceptable. And he added that if he was normal, he could go with them to change classes in